trust in you.
Hi Sarah.
Hi Jasmine.
How are you?
I'm alright, thank you. And you?
I'm good. It's good to see you again.
Same here, yeah.
Do you remember the first time we met?
Yeah, I remember.
Where was it?
To be fair, I think we've met a number of times without actually interacting, but the first time we actually interacted would have been at Uncle Charles's wedding anniversary.
Yes. How, obviously we spoke about how you were half Nigerian and,
yes,
you know,
and a bit Ghanaian.
Yeah. It was so lovely just getting to know you and you know more about your background. How's the music going?
It's been really fantastic. It's been very hectic, especially having to juggle being a mum, having a full-time job and doing music on the side. So recently I was on tour in Cape Town. I just came back last month. Amazing. And I'm going on tour in November to Cyprus. And I've got all these performances across the country through to next year. So it's really busy but very rewarding. Wow. And I've just been blessed really.
Wow. That's really awesome. You know, Finding Happiness is all about sharing a bit of what you've been through. And we spoke about the loss of your mum.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how that made you feel? What was your frame of mind when you lost your mum?
Yeah, to be fair, the frame of mind is probably even still there because it's something that takes a really long time to heal. It's even a bit difficult to describe almost because it's not a feeling that one anticipates or even prepares for. For me, it happened in December 2017 and I was in the process of recording my album Keep Walking. I'd literally just come out of studio a few days before, recording a song called Keep Walking, the actual title track of the album. And I was on the phone to my sister the Sunday before my mum passed and I was talking to her about, mum called me and she said, you know, she needs to talk to you and you need to call mum. I was talking about my mum's health to my sister and saying things like we need to do something, either bring her to the UK for treatment because she was living in Nigeria with my dad. And that was just a Sunday night. And then Monday morning I got a call from my brother's wife and she was just crying on the phone and it just broke me. It just literally, it devastated me. I don't even have the words. It crushed me. And she was just crying on the phone and going, Mummy's gone. I'm like, what? Are you sure? I mean, can they do tests? It's like, you just want to do things to almost resuscitate, like make it not real. It's not true, I'm dreaming. This cannot be happening, you know. And I know my mum had been suffering, and not really suffering, but she'd been battling, I should say, with Parkinson's for a number of years. And she'd had issues with movement and mobility and stuff. And to be fair, one of the things that keeps hope alive in a sense, or even gives me strength when I'm in those moments of despair and in my low moments, is the memories that she created with us. Those are things that stay with us. And I learnt one thing, and I'm going a bit off track, but one of the things I learnt from my mum's passing is the importance of creating memories with the people we love, because when we're gone, that's all they're going to have, you know. And the memories that she created with us, you know, sitting down with her, listening to music. In every reference I make, talking about my musical background, I always talk about how my mum loved classic Motown and soul music. That is the memory, the earliest memory I have of music is sitting with my mum, listening to Marvin Gaye, listening to Aretha Franklin and things like that. And creating those kind of memories really helped me in those difficult periods. But one of the other things that really sustained me was the memory of taking her to Ghana for her birthday in 2016. Or was it actually 27? No, I can't remember now. She passed in 2017, so it was the year before 2016. And I just had always had that, you know, tugging in my heart to do this for her birthday, because she was born in Ghana, but she'd never returned for about 20-30 years.
Wow. So
I wanted to take her back to the very town where she was born. And I remember I took her and my godmother along, and my godmother kept saying, this thing that you've done, Sarah, you don't know how God is going to bless you. I'm like, well, I just want to be there for my mum because I'm here and she's back home, and I want to do something really special for her. And I remember recording a video of her and asking her if she was happy, and she was like, I'm happy. And every time I miss my mum, I go back to that video, literally, and be like, I just watch her saying to me, I'm happy. And it almost is a message from her to me to say, even where I am now, I'm happy. You don't need to worry about me. You don't need to, you know, allow yourself to sink into a state of depression for me, because I'm in a much better place and I'm at peace and I'm happy, you know. But it's not an easy journey, coping with the loss of a loved one. It's really hard. Even my husband sometimes struggled to console me. I was inconsolable. It's just hard, you know. It's like my husband always says, you don't know how tight the shoe pinches unless you're actually wearing it, and that's the truth. Unless you're the one who's struggling and coping with that loss and the despair and depression that comes with it, the distress that comes with it, the emptiness that comes with it, and sometimes the dark moments as well, you don't know, you know. So it's a journey, and I'm healing, you know. And I know I struggled with so many other feelings: bitterness, unforgiveness, blaming everyone else around her, you know, because I'm like, oh, this person should have done this and that person should have done that. If they'd done this, she wouldn't have died, you know, and things like that. So there's also that, you know, element of it, but the healing is ongoing.
So talking about depression, when you were going through that period, who was there to support you?
Now, this is the thing about me, is I'm very much an introvert. I'm almost self-sufficient. I try not to open up, you know, show my vulnerability, but that really changed. That had to change when I was going through that period. I had to open up to my husband. I had to allow him to be there to comfort me. A lot of the time when I'm going through stuff, I just keep it to myself. I keep it and I just like, God will help me. You know how we as Christians, we're like, God will help me. He's my ever-present help in time of need. And we don't talk to people. At least I speak for myself. But in that period, I learned the importance of speaking up. And I'd recommend anyone going through a state of depression, despair, loneliness even, to find a person that they trust and they can actually share. There's a proverb that says, a problem shared is a problem halved. You know, once you find someone to share, you know, it can't just be anyone. It has to be someone trustworthy, someone you're comfortable opening up to, and just share, you know, what you're experiencing with them, in the hope that they will be able to support you. And sometimes even silence is a form of support. They don't need to preach at you or give you a whole long speech of how to manage, you know, your mental health or how to cope with. Just having somebody to talk to, just listening, a listening ear sometimes is all you need to offload what's on your chest and what's on your heart. So for me, being able to open up to my husband was really fantastic, and also my church family really helped. I had so many people visiting, and when they came visiting, they just chatted and stayed, you know, and, you know, talked about old times, and, you know, it was really great having that family, you know, church family coming in and supporting. But no, it's crucial to open up to people and receive help. I'm one person who struggles to collect it, to receive help, but it taught me the importance of just being there, being able rather to allow people to be there for me and just receive the help that they had to offer.
Wow. So what advice can you give to someone who's actually experiencing the loss of someone and you're going through a depressing state?
So I'd recommend one of the first things to do if you've identified that you may be struggling with depression is to try as much as possible to pinpoint the root cause. Because if you don't know what's causing it, you may actually continue to expose yourself to it without knowing, and you carry on in that state of depression. For some, it's very easy to identify. It could be that somebody passed on, it could be that you had a miscarriage, it could be that you lost a job, and for some it may not even be that obvious. It could be a hurtful relationship, or it could be experiences at work. It could be something triggering, you know, that sort of feeling of lowness, if you like. But being able to identify the root cause is the first step, because then you can learn how to either distance yourself from that or manage how you relate with that experience or person or situation in order to not allow yourself keep sinking into a state of depression. I know it's easier said than done, but it is one of the practical steps for me, because I found that my depression after my mother's loss was not so much because she had passed. There was that, but there was also anger. There was an element of that as well, but it was more so a feeling of anger, unforgiveness, bitterness. Those feelings also, sometimes they're the very root of the depression, that we feel we're like angry at something or angry at someone, and that kind of has a foothold in our heart and in our chest and just tugs at us and makes us sink almost into a pit of, you know, depression and darkness. So it's not even completely gone, I must confess. It's something I constantly keep praying to God to help me with, because every time I feel that anger, the depression comes. So my mum has passed. I'm kind of gradually recovering from not having her, not being able to speak to her on her birthday. I mean, on her birthday, God Almighty, it was hard for me, because I just felt, oh my God, I don't have a mother to call. I'm tearing up now. But that for me was yeah, God, that was a difficult day for me. And I know Christmas is going to be hard as well because she passed in December. But I mean, it came, and somehow I was able to cope with not having her on her birthday. But when I think of the things that I've been angry about surrounding her passing, that's when the depression sets in. So I mean, because I've identified that to be the root cause, I've been praying to God over time to help me to just let go. And you know, because if I don't forgive, I can't live. And I have a song on that in my album even, which says you have to forgive so you can live. So it is something that most people struggle with, but depending on God and depending on the Holy Spirit every single day to help us through those trying times is very, very crucial. Yeah.
So you talk about the journey of having to, you know, learn to forgive and let go. How is that journey? Because I know it's not easy, and you did mention that you're still on that journey of healing and just moving forward. So elaborate more on that, like the journey of healing and the journey of actually accepting what it is and letting go.
Right, so it's challenging, you know. Literally I have to take each day at a time. I have to take one step at a time, literally live one day at a time, and not allow myself get pulled into stuff. And I know it might not sound eloquent in that sense, but it's literally that, taking one day at a time. And for me, I'm having to be very conscious about how I handle the unforgiveness, because it's directed at certain individuals, and I'm having to wean myself off of, you know, certain perceptions that I have of the individuals and recondition my mind. And it's really difficult to say, okay, I refuse to think of this person in a certain way, and I choose to, you know, just begin to see them in a different light, see them the way God sees them, for example. Because at the end of the day, if God's forgiven a person, he doesn't see the things that they've done. How come I'm holding on to stuff? So having to learn to let go of my memory of wrongdoing almost, and embrace grace, you know, and begin to see a person in a different light. It's a challenging journey, but as I said earlier, with the help of the Holy Spirit, it can be done. So I think I'm nearly there, to be fair, which is good. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what makes you happy?
Oh, my family. My family makes me happy. My kids, my husband, singing, as you probably can imagine. And to be fair, when I was sort of handling, or should I say managing the loss and the depression that came with it, music was a big one for me. Interestingly enough, one of the songs I wrote was recommended to me by my producer, and he said to me, go and listen to this song you recorded in studio, that would help you through what you're experiencing. It's called Keep Walking, and it basically talks about pushing through despite of the challenges and setbacks we face in life. So music was definitely a great source of joy and encouragement for me, but my family are one of my biggest joys. First and foremost, do not allow your past hold you back from your future. There are so many things that we need to leave in the past, and I've personally learned to let go of the past. And I have to say, if my journey was on a scale of 1 to 100, I'm on 90. So I'm pretty much nearly there, letting go of the past and just embracing the future. And trust me, there is so much joy in the future, you know, so much more than you can ever imagine lying ahead of you if you just let go of the past. That is very crucial. Secondly, do not limit God, what God can do in your life. I know sometimes it sounds cliche, but I'm personally somebody who's seen so many miraculous ways that God has come through for me. I remember I had to struggle through 2 miscarriages before I had my second daughter, and that was another period of despair and depression for me, which I never saw coming. But not limiting God and just trusting him to come through for me. And then I had my second daughter, who's turning 6 next year. So do not limit God. And thirdly, always remember that in every experience that you have, there is a lesson. There is a lesson in everything that you go through. It may not seem like it. It may not even be a pleasant thing to think about, because if you're going through a dark phase in your life, the last thing you want to be thinking about is, oh yes, there's a lesson in this, or oh, there's something to be taken away from this. You're not thinking that when you're in that state, because I wasn't thinking, oh, God is trying to teach me X, Y, Z. I'm just thinking, this should not be happening, and I'm very upset. I want to stay in this state of being upset for as long as I can. But no, the truth is, in every experience, the good times and the bad times, the highs and the lows, there is a lesson for us. And fourthly, your story will encourage someone else. So be willing to share whatever you've gone through, because someone else is going to take something from it, because life is a cycle. You know, what you've left behind, someone else is going to pick up, and your experience will be used, you know, be useful to someone else on their journey as well. But, you know, there's so much wealth of knowledge out there. I'm just giving you a few nuggets. This is just probably the tip of the iceberg in terms of how to cope with things like that. But yeah.
Thank you so much for, you know, gracing us with your time and sharing your words of wisdom, and also sharing your experience on how you overcame your depression and how you're still on that journey. And we look forward to, you know, seeing you in the future and sharing amazing experiences also. Thank you so much for your time, Sarah.
Thanks, and welcome to my home. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah.